The generation who are criticized by their grandparents for not fighting in a war, scrolling too much on their iPhones, and ultimately dramatized for being woke or just not knowing how the world works in general. This is Gen Z, the zombie generation.
I get it, look, 3 5s. Like, you can't even, he's gonna have a 10.
It's me, Chiaki Nanami.
Ich konnte nicht schießen. Ja, ich konnte.
Every generation within the 20th century had undergone its own significant changes, whether it be the prosperity of the Roaring 20s or the outbreak of war in the late 1930s. The world is ever changing. This includes innovation too, of course. The rise of video games and music in the 1980s, the creation of DVDs in the mid-90s. There's been a lot of innovation throughout the decades.
As big as this, but at least a console through which he can talk to his friendly local computer and get all the information he needs for his everyday life, like his bank statements.
Though from the 1990s onwards, the innovation of technology would advance so rapidly that for those born from 1997 onwards, growing up would be an entirely new experience that no one could have ever expected. How we interacted with the world changed entirely. People weren't going out with their friends as often, or at least not in real life. Same went with bullying. You know, why be known as a terrible person in real life when you can just do it online, and even anonymously? CDs and vinyl started to lose their meaning. Social interaction became difficult to the extent many continued to ask, why bother? And at some point, respect was even thrown completely out the window. Growing up just went into hard mode, and many will argue this statement, though this will be the theme I'll be focusing on throughout the video. A phone became a friend that you needed at all times. Swiping or staring at a device became a ritual. Hell, you could even be scrolling for hours on end after seeing one topic that interested you. Wow, it's got its own dictionary word, doom scrolling. I mean, life just stopped. Instead of hanging out with your friends, you'd be sending photos frozen in time. Instead of laughing with them, you get a heart emoji. The list is near infinite, though that's not the point. For the generations prior to Gen Z, be it millennials or Generation X, majority of them already know and understand this, not spending as much time on technology and having nowhere as near as many people being influenced, at least negatively. Even adding that their brains are fully developed, so technology, specifically iPhones, won't throw their brain development off track. And so to anyone that didn't grow up or isn't growing up in this period today, it's not really that big of a deal, though having kids is a different story. This video will be focusing on just what it sounds like. Growing up in the digital era, the good and bad. And Gen Z was and is the first to experience this, with Gen Alpha being much worse. But rest assured, that whole discussion can be documented for another video. So, growing up in the digital age, what's it like? Well, as you all probably know well, the world has and continues to implement technology wherever possible. AI is rapidly advancing. Online shopping, virtual meetings, other things like healthcare consultations are going online. And with that, a lot of influence and opportunity, for teenagers and young adults especially, appears. Having endless newfound beliefs to attach to, and videos, games, online habits to dictate part of what is known as your sense of self. And that is something that will be firmly challenged as the world continues to advance. Gen Z have been, and for the next decade or so, will continue to be shaped, that's right, primarily by what they see on social media. The 2010s and onwards are just different, with all the teenagers and adults having to adapt and live in this new modern world. Whether all you can think about is the possibility of nuclear warfare, the rapid advancement of AI, or excitement and opportunity, there's a lot coming our way. And as for teenagers, as they have forever, they're discovering the world, figuring out who they are and what they want to do. This, mixed with iPhones, television, a vast range of devices, can mess up the developmental process quite a bit. Teenagers of course will still choose many things themselves, but many aspects of their lives will actually be dictated or heavily influenced by the internet. Just look at their 1000 plus fitness influencers online. They're giving different opinions, takes on everything, what foods to eat, what workouts, it's pretty confusing. What about Andrew Tate and the other so-called Sigma or alpha male influencers telling you how to behave and live your life? There's just so much information available to absorb, and it doesn't stop coming, ever. So you can see how the world for Gen Z is very confusing to navigate, and will continue to be for some time. Another throwback to the 1980s, if I may. They had no iPhones or insanely advanced technology, aside really from the television. so life was more straightforward. Of course, there's an argument for this as well. Same went with the influences on teenagers. You had your parents, maybe a coach, teacher, whatnot. It wasn't anything crazy, and life was just a bit more simple and easier to see. There wasn't 1,000 different personalities and takes to choose from, and many of which even spread misinformation and overall just confusion to the teenagers and young adults of today. Today's world has also brought many ideas to normalization. This includes the prominence of the LGBTQ community. It's larger than ever and has about become normalized in today's world. Protests, there's a lot. Whether peaceful or violent, more and more people are taking to the streets or attending events to help give attention to the social or global issues they deeply believe in. The environment. Slowly but surely, the government and many people, primarily millennials and Gen Z, are taking focus to our planet. Also with parties like the Greens in Australia, or much of RFK Jr.'s policies in America, if he gets elected, there's more and more pressure on fossil fuel, mining, and other environmentally damaging industries. We also have electric vehicles today, and use some safer products, materials, and packaging. Then we have, I couldn't leave this one out, I'm sorry, furries. It's just a hobby mum, I swear. Dressing up in animal suits and seeing more animal-human related games and shows is becoming the norm. Cool. Anyway, all these things are just other examples that, along with advanced technology, Gen Z has to and is adapting to hopefully be an inclusive and good citizen. Please. Devices, again, from watching a series on television to doom scrolling on TikTok, there's a lot of content to be consumed and time wasted. Yes, scrolling on applications such as TikTok and Instagram can save you from reality for a bit, or if in moderation be funny and entertaining every now and then. But these apps can bring some real damage. Along with games, scrolling for hours on end or just being addicted to checking your iPhone can possibly lead to anxiety or even depression for many, possibly impacting your social skills and even your work ethic or career. And I don't think you want to mess with that, unless it's War Thunder. Gaming or binging addictions can also promote obesity, laziness, or mental health issues as well. Remember, in moderation please. Don't worry, after your marathon, then you can sit down and binge Stranger Things. Wow, I haven't even talked about other people online, the misusers or just criminals for short. On apps like Facebook, Instagram, and websites like Omegle, but luckily I think that was shut down, there's many disturbing folks who have bad intent. Need I say there are quite a few pedophiles as well. Dating apps. Again, throwing social skills out the window. We now have text messages instead. You don't actually have to talk to her or him, just send a yo what's up and hope for the best. Apps like Tinder and Bumble seem the most popular today, and then apps like Wiz and Yubo are for making friends. No, it's just Tinder for kids. In reality, some of these apps do work and there have been many successes, but again, it should be a last resort, if that, and teenagers should be aware for the potential catfishes, scammers, or just plain pedophiles. This next topic was going to need a section of its own, but luckily I've done my research and it doesn't impact Gen Z nearly as much as millennials. Thank God. And that was OnlyFans, by the way. Now, what about positives? I mean, Gen Z surely has some great things because of this technology and awareness, and yes, the internet can actually provide good wisdom and advice. We have people such as Eddie Abu talk about general health and nutrition as the world is very distorted and quite processed in regards to food, but hopefully that gets better. Anyway, nutrition isn't the only thing though. You can find positive influences for working out, spiritual practices, religion, your career, it goes on. Woke culture. What is it and why? Woke people. They're, by definition, alert to and concerned about social injustice and discrimination. I've met a few and they can be chill, cool people. But there are the extremists too. I believe these people, and I don't really know what classifies someone as woke, it's just a word, but these people care deeply for things. And the term is usually related to recent or ongoing events, such as, well, veganism for one. Anyway, it's a weird generation, I'm a part of it. That's all. Peace.